Hi guys, it's Miss Parkinson here. I'm back with another gardening video for you. This video is just going to be kind of a garden update. So I'm going to give you some updates on some of the things that I've grown in my past videos, and I'm going to show you some new things that I've been growing. And then later on in the video, I'm going to actually be planting some cucumber seeds and you can follow along. All right, so let's start our little garden tour for today. All right, so over here in these bins, I've got some tomatoes. So these are doing really well. They've grown lots of leaves and they're getting a lot bigger. And some peppers, a little bit smaller than the tomatoes, but they're doing okay. Got some more tomatoes over here. There's my nephew Jake. And here, these ones aren't doing so great. These are beets. And they're not growing very big, so I think I might be doing something wrong with these. I've got to kind of figure it out and see what's going on. Now, moving over here, we got some more peppers and tomatoes here. And here, covered with plastic right now, I planted some marigolds and some cilantro and parsley. So those have just started to sprout. I think these are the herbs. I'm not exactly sure which ones those are, but they just started to sprout. I'm going to keep this covered with plastic to trap in some moisture. You can even see some little droplets of water that are collecting in there. That's exactly what we want. So we're going to keep those covered up. Here are some lettuce little sprouts. I just planted these 2 days ago, so they've just started sprouting. Because they've started to sprout, I now took the plastic covering off because I don't really need to create that greenhouse anymore since they are already sprouted. More big tomatoes here. This is a sunflower that has gotten really tall. It's about 1 foot tall. And then over here, I planted some flowers. So these are different flowers. I've got some zinnias and some what else? Nasturtium flowers. So we'll see how those do and I'll keep you guys updated on those. Over here we got some basil, some more basil, some more beets. Again, the beets aren't doing great. I'm not sure what's going on with those. Then here, this is my little propagation station. What I've done here is I've taken a cutting. I've cut off a part of a mint plant and a basil plant, and I've just put them in a jar of water. So just the little stem part is touching the water. What should happen is in a few days, let's see, it's been about 3 days since I planted the mint. The basil I just did today, but in a few days or weeks, those little stems should actually start to sprout new roots. And what I can do then is plant the new roots and the new plant in soil. And so it's kind of one way to get extra plants out of one. All right, over here, I'm trying a little experiment that I saw on the internet, which said that you could take kind of the root end of celery and place it in water and it should regrow. So far it's just kind of turning brown. I don't know what's gonna happen here, but I'm gonna keep seeing if that will grow. This is another cutting that I cut off of a snake plant, which is this plant here. That's called a snake plant. I cut off the little tip of one of the leaves and I've planted it in some soil. So we're gonna see if that continues to grow. And then what else do we have? This is some more basil here. And this is the basil plant that's really doing really well. This is the one that I cut off part of to propagate in a jar of water. So that's my update on how things are growing right now. Now I'm gonna plant some cucumber seeds and you can watch as I do that. So first I've just got a plastic cup. I'm gonna poke some holes in the bottom using a knife. And this is something you'd wanna make sure you're doing with an adult if you were gonna do this on your own, because it's very sharp and you need to be very careful. You don't want anyone going to the hospital for any gardening injuries. All right, so we've got our plastic cup. I'm now gonna fill it with some of my seed starting soil, which is my really light, fluffy soil. It's made from coconut core, which is like the outer shell of coconuts. And now I'm gonna actually add in some of my earthworm castings, some poop of some worms. This is gonna be really nice and nutritious for this plant. So I'm just gonna pour in a little bit of that, and then I'm just gonna kind of mix it in. I'm gonna kind of like scratch it in just to the top layer of my seed starting mix. It doesn't need to get too deep. We just kind of want it to be in the top like inch or so of where the seed is actually going to be planted. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna actually go ahead and put our seeds in. So these are what the cucumber seeds look like. They look just like, you know, seeds that would come from a cucumber that you're eating. Now I am going to put about 3 of them in here. It's always pretty likely that at least one of your seeds, you know, will probably not germinate. Sometimes we just get faulty seeds that just don't sprout. So that's why I like to always put 3 in, just so that I'm sure that I will at least get 1 to sprout, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and just place 3 of these into the soil. And then I'm gonna check the back of the seed packet. That's gonna tell us the depth, the depth, meaning how deep I should be sticking these in. Now it says 1/2 inch. My fingernail is about 1/2 inch. So I'm basically just gonna push these in until my fingernail hits the soil, until my fingernail is totally covered. And that's about 1/2 inch. I'm just gonna cover them up. I'm actually gonna use another cup here just to kind of like press this down a little bit. Not a lot. I'm not gonna like push it down. I'm just gonna kind of lightly tap it just so that those seeds are nice and snug. And then I'm going to water this. So I'm actually going to take it over to my sink and water it there, and I'll show you in a second. All right, so I've got my water on, just kind of a light trickle. I'm just gonna kind of get that nice and soaked. And this, the mix that it's in drains really slowly. So I'm just gonna set it aside and let it drain. Okay, so these got a lot of good water to help those seeds sprout, and now I'm gonna put them under my grow light that I have here hanging in my window. And I'm gonna cover them up with some plastic until they germinate. So something I wanted to let you guys know about is very important if you're growing your own plants at home, is this. Yes, that's just my ceiling fan, but I wanted to show it to you because it's really important that your plants, once they grow into seedlings with a lot of leaves on them, it's really important that they're getting a lot of good air circulation. So if there's no air flowing onto them, what could happen is the soil, the moist soil, could actually start to develop mold. If you left something that was wet in a place where there was no air or wind or airflow, it would actually start to grow mold. And so we don't want mold to grow on our plants. That's one reason why we want to keep a fan going in the room where you have your plants. Another reason why is because eventually all of these plants are going to have a new home, which is outside. And we don't want to put them outside and shock them and have them completely freak out because there's all these new feelings of the wind blowing and the rain and the hot sun and things like that. So what we want to try to do is get our plants used to some of those things like wind and airflow. And that's why we want to let them get a little bit of air that's kind of it's kind of almost like there's wind blowing. If you watch really closely, you could see some of the leaves are kind of shaking a little bit. Oops. That's good. That means that they're going to get used to that feeling when they're planted outside. So that's something to keep in mind if you have a ceiling fan or if you have like a box fan that you could put near your plants. You don't want to like completely shoot the air right at them, but if you have some air, some wind that you could kind of generate in the room where your plants are growing, that's going to really help them out. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope that you are doing some of your own planting at home. Remember that you can always share pictures or videos with me. You can tweet to me on Twitter or send me an email with what you're growing. I would love to see what you're doing. And happy gardening, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.